This is the Toyota Moto Machi factory, one of Toyota's oldest yet most advanced car plants. And today I'll be finding out how they test cars to destruction on the test track. Clapping like an 8-year-old child.
Hey!
Discovering what happens when it does go wrong.
This car here is the one that Marizo flipped.
Getting to see some top secret test cars.
Man, I want this car.
And having exclusive access to the factory where they make the GR models.
Probably gonna have to buy one. Oh no. I'm about to head out on the Shimoyama dirt track, which is about 1.5 kilometers long, with Nori Katsuta. He's one of the Japanese rally drivers, and he's the father of Takamoto Katsuta, who is obviously on the Toyota WRC team. So as part of the constant development that Toyota does on the GR products, they spend a lot of time like bashing these cars about on a rally course with this gentleman here, and of course Morizo, so Mr. Toyota.
So just to explain, Morizo is actually the ultra racing driver ego of the boss of Toyota, Akio Toyoda. When he first started racing, he wanted to keep his identity a secret, so stole a name from a mascot at an exhibition, and hey presto, think of it a bit like Clark Kent and Superman, or Bruce Wayne and Batman.
So I'm going to experience what it's like. You might have noticed there, it's got a slightly different handbrake. So part of this constant development process, when Morizo was driving and he wanted to do a handbrake turn, he found it difficult with the handbrake down here in the normal position. So they've decided to relocate it up here. But this isn't just for this development car. That will be introduced on the new GR Yaris at a later date. But you might be wondering, why the heck are we like just going to bash around on this dirt track? Well, the idea is to push the car to its absolute limits to see what we can break. The reason being that if you push it to its limits, you find the weaknesses, you can then improve them, put them into the road car, and as cars get faster and faster and you develop the speed of the cars, you can then actually preempt potential problems by pushing the current car to its absolute limits in a way that no customer would. Anyway, let's go for a spin.
Ready?
Yeah, let's do this. So this particular car, it's called a challenge rally car. So it's essentially the road car with some mods so that customers can go racing. You can see the benefit of having the handbrake there. I can't believe that's going to go on the road car. So by pushing the car like this, they can really test how strong it is. Now there's a little place around here where Morizo flipped a car. Oh, the reason he flipped it because the four-wheel drive system. Oh, here, this is where he flipped the car, right? So he flipped it because the four-wheel drive system had a problem. It didn't slide as it should do. He hit that back and he flipped the car. It just happened last year. But by doing that, they figured out that they need to do some changes in the software for the four-wheel drive system. Woo! Hey! Thank you. So you can see the kind of extremes that they put in the car through. And this isn't just for lols, although I'm sure he enjoys it. That was a lot of fun. I'm going to show you something now. It's quite interesting. This car here is the one that Morizo flipped. You can see all the smashed in windscreen, smashed inside. And this car will now go into Toyota's museum. It's all part of the ongoing development, and it tells a story of how serious Toyota takes continuously developing their cars to make them better.
In fact, just at that point I noticed the car I was in had developed an issue, so I grabbed someone from Toyota to take a quick look.
We've got some warning lights on the dash. Apparently what happened was we were driving along, we lost power. So Saito-san
is the chief engineer at Gazoo Racing. He's worked at Toyota for nearly 20 years and actually got the job as head of GR after he set up a development team at Toyota called the Crazy Car Project. This was a secret after our Skunkworks team that in 2012 made a bonkers EV converted 2000 GT and ran it up the hill at Goodwood. Now Saito-san may have forgotten to tell his boss at Toyota that he was going to be doing this, but this kind of renegade approach was exactly what Toyota was looking for in the person that would head up their future GR division.
What do you think has happened to the car here?
Yeah, that indicated the engine overheating and also four-wheel drive system overheating.
So we've overheated the...
And the FF right now.
He's always breaking the cars.
Yes.
That's what you paid to do, though, right?
Like Moiso done.
Okay, so we've had a problem in the car, but in your point of view, this is a good thing, right?
The thing is, they can find the issues during this rally evaluation. Then we got them from that experience, we will improve.
So essentially what's going to happen is they're going to investigate the data on this car, find out what happened, and this will go into the continuous development of the GR Yaris. So I have helped develop the GR Yaris.
Thank you so much. Big mouth.
I'll send you the invoice.
Thank you.
This was a lot of fun, but there's nothing better for pushing a car to and then beyond its limits than motorsport. And Saito-san explained how the new second generation GR Yaris has been improved based on failures they experienced while racing the first generation car.
We've got a bunch of broken internal engine parts.
Yes.
What's this all about?
These are, the real evidence we experienced in the racing activity. The Moiso and professional driver broken it in the racing.
Right, so I don't need to worry that this is going to happen to my GR Yaris while I'm driving on the road.
It's not happened for you.
Basically, your racing drivers have been out hammering the crap out of the car.
Oh yes. So and then we found the limitation of the performances.
Right, so that brings us on to the new engine. So this is from the old engine, and what's happened here?
For example, one of the root cause was the pre-ignition.
The explosion happening too soon.
No good timing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we made it a calibration improvement for the software.
Right, and did you change anything to do with the actual parts? Yeah, the materials?
Yes, material changes for the piston.
To make it stronger?
Yeah, make it stronger.
For people who want to tune their cars, it's a better platform for tuners than the previous generation car.
This is also.
So the old engine is still strong, but this one's even stronger.
Yeah.
So if you are a tuner and you want to bump up the power, you need to get yourself the new one.
I don't really
You can't say that, obviously.
As a manufacturer.
As an OEM, no. Don't do that, it will invalidate your warranty.
Yeah.
For context, here's how an older GR Yaris tuned to more than 600 horsepower compares with a Lamborghini Aventador SV in a drag race.
Come on, Lambo power! Come on! Come on!
According to Saito-san, the new GR Yaris's engine will be even stronger. Tuners should be able to get even more power out of it, but his team hasn't just upgraded the engine.
Is this part of the four-wheel drive system?
The gravel training, driving and making the so much temperature heated. And then we found some broken in the transfer, and we made it the good cooling airflow from the undercover.
And what's going on with these parts here? What's this?
This is a sub-radiator which we installed it for new GR Yaris today. We found it's a bad location. Some hit it in the corner. You can see this bumpers is a corner. We improved the location of that.
So you add a new radiator to the new car. It's got more performance, so you need a bit more cooling.
Yes.
You had it behind the bumper. The rally driver crashed it a little bit, as they do, and it damaged this, so you decide to move it higher. But you've also done something else, because obviously if you crack this, you need to remove the whole front bumper, which is expensive and takes time.
We divide it by the 3 sections, and the customer don't have to change the whole bumper. It just changes the small parts.
Okay, some other bits that we've got going on here. We've got the gear linkages, right?
Also the Moiso drove, and he made it tough changing the shaft. After the 2,000 kilometer, we found the breaking it.
He's got brutal gear changes if he did that. I mean, look at that. He's not driving my car.
He always pushing the limit.
Oh no, look at that. And the final thing is this.
Lower suspension arm, and brake it here.
What, you fitted a stronger part here as the bracing?
We will do.
The suspension part's going to be slightly stiffer, which will make the car more robust, but also more responsive as well, because there's less flex.
I think so, yeah.
I really was getting to see everything here, including their secret workshop.
Now, I'm a very lucky boy because I'm the first journalist to be allowed to film here at the MN Garage by special invitation of Maurizio himself, so huge thank you. And this particular car here is the original mule for the GR Yaris. So underneath there we've got a turbocharged 3-cylinder engine, we've got the 4-wheel drive system, so they use that for testing. This is the first ever Yaris WRC car as well. And just round here, this is super cool. Only 100 of these things were made. We never got them in Europe. It's a GR IQ with a 1.3 supercharged engine. Man, I want this car.
But developing a new car doesn't always go to plan. You see, Saito-san revealed to me that when Maurizio tested the prototype for the GR Yaris back in 2018, it was, and I quote, a complete disaster. Maurizio said it was too difficult to drive and it wouldn't respond properly. Saito-san said that the problem was down to the fact that the engineers working on the car were too focused on making their managers happy, just ticking corporate boxes, instead of focusing on making the car perform at the highest possible level. Toyota needed a rethink. So what Maurizio did was to send the whole GR Yaris team to Gazoo Racing's Nürburgring factory to get some first-hand motorsport experience. Then, when Toyota entered a GR Yaris in several endurance races, Maurizio joined them as a driver. But even though they won their class, they didn't actually celebrate. They were too busy thinking of ways to improve the road car using their new racing knowledge. And this is all part of Toyota's Kaizen philosophy. Kaizen stands for continuous improvement. And this doesn't just apply to how cars are developed, it also applies to how they're constructed.
Now, this is a really unique opportunity because very few journalists have been allowed in here. So Maurizio has set this factory up so that they can build the cars so precisely, so that there's no difference between one GR Yaris and another GR Yaris because the tolerances are so small. And the idea behind that is that really the difference between the cars will only ever be the driver. So much fun, this car. Oh, and you can feel the diff like really hook up. The way the GR factory works is slightly different to a normal car production line. So normally you'd have the cars on a conveyor belt and you gradually add bits and the car grows and then it gets built. Here though, they do it in a more motorsport kind of way where you have bits of the car built in cells and then you put the car together. So that's really interesting. It makes it more flexible. They can increase or decrease production or change bits of production much quicker. And that is evident in what they've done with the latest version of the GR Yaris. So when you took the original Yaris on which the GR was built, they actually, for the GR, they changed the amount of spot welds. So one of the things they do in motorsport is they'll take a car's body and they'll add spot welds to make the body stiffer. Now they do it a bit different here. They don't take the car body, then take it apart, then add spot welds. They just do it right from the beginning when they're building the car. They add more spot welds. So the original GR Yaris had 5% more spot welds than the standard Yaris. However, for this new one, they've increased that so that the new car has 20% more spot welds than a standard Yaris. Also, they use a special bonding material. So this new car must be a lot stiffer. Am I going to buy one? I'm probably going to have to buy one. Oh no, not another new car. So this is one of the big cells here where they've taken the other parts from the other cells which have been put together and then they're putting it all together into the underbody. It's really interesting with the way the robots work because they can change their welding head. So if they need like a small intricate head, they can swap onto that to get into like the nooks and crannies of the body and then use the bigger ones for the more accessible bits. And in between the different cycles of doing the spot welds, the machine can actually clean its welding head so it can ensure that all the welds are of the highest quality. Just over there is where they add the sides of the car onto the underbody, but this cell is top secret and they don't want me to show it you, but have a quick look. After they put the sides of the car onto the underbody and fitted it all together, they then do some more spot welds, and I can actually show you that bit happening over there. And this is the end result down here. There's something really interesting going on here that you don't normally see on a normal production car line. When a car is built, they're built to a tolerance, some acceptable range of movement between the locations of different parts of the car. So what they do here though is use a robot to measure each individual car, especially the suspension mounting points, and they use that information when they're fitting the suspension so that they can counteract any movement or deviation in these center points to ensure the cars are aligned exactly. And what it does is minimize the tolerance for a vehicle from being, let's say, like that to being like that. Obviously, I'm exaggerating. Those tolerances are very small and minuscule, but they make them even smaller here in the GR factory. So each car drives exactly the same as another GR Yaris and in exactly the way that the people at the factory want it to. This this is quite a unique experience because behind me there you can see just being lowered a unique looking GR Yaris. That is one of the 2 special editions. One is a Rev Ampere edition, one is the Ogier edition. So they're Toyota's 2 rally drivers to celebrate their WRC win. Now there's going to be 200 of those cars and 200 of the Ogiers. So the chance of me seeing that car actually here being built is quite unique. It has a very special paint job, the Roman Perlo edition. You may be thinking it's a wrap. No, it's not. That is paint. At this part of the line, they're fitting the sub-assemblies to the car. So the information they took from that robot that was doing all the measuring on the body is used here. And they'll use that detail and information to pick the right subframe for the right body so they match up as precisely as possible. But even then, they alter the jigs by fractions of a millimetre to get the 2 parts to marry perfectly. Another thing they do is that unlike on a normal production line where they'll mount like the engine and the subframes and stuff from underneath, they do it from the top down like they do for motorsport. The reason for that is that if you have the car suspended on a jig and you're mounting things underneath, there is a bit of flex put into the car's chassis, so you lose some of that precision. When you're mounting it from the top, you don't have that problem. Another thing they do, which is just like motorsport, when they're fitting the suspension components and the brakes, they'll weigh them to make sure that the right side and the left side work together perfectly. The idea being that you can take your car from the factory and drive it straight to the racetrack and it'll perform exactly as it should do. This is a car here going through final inspection, but there is still one last thing to do, and that's wheel alignment, which they leave to the very end. That's really interesting. As the car's gone through the entire production process, not once do they turn the car's steering wheel. The wheels are kept completely straight. Reason being is they don't want to apply any torque to the car whatsoever until they finally do the wheel alignment, because it can just affect the precision. So as the car comes out of the final inspection, rather than drive it to the stage there to do the wheel alignment, there's a turntable there so the car can always have its wheels straight, and then it just gets rotated round and then can be driven straight into the wheel alignment section. It's crazy. The attention to detail in the production of these GR cars. That's why they feel so good to drive though, right? Every single GR car that comes out of the factory is test driven by an expert test driver, and they'll do things like drive it for about 2 miles, and they'll put in sudden like steering imports, they'll do sudden braking to check the tolerances of the car, because what they want to ensure is that every single GR car feels the same as the next one. So every single GR Yaris feels the same as the next GR Yaris. You don't do this with normal production cars. Normal production cars, you'll sample test drive them, and the reason is that you have a wider tolerance for acceptability of how the cars feel to drive, because really with a normal car most people won't notice anyway, but with the GR car they have to feel exactly the same. The end result is that if Toyota's chairman, Mr. Toyota, or should I say Morizo, comes down here today and takes this GR Yaris for a drive and then takes that GR Yaris for a drive, even him with all his driving skill won't be able to tell the difference between these cars, apart from of course the colour. Speaking of which, if I get this new GR Yaris, should I go for the pearl white again like my old car, or should I go for this grey? Let me know in the comments below.